Faith talk, faith talk. Can you tell me what it is that you're living for? Can you tell me what it is that you're living for? Faith talk, faith talk, faith talk, faith talk, faith talk, faith talk. Can you tell me what it is that you're living for? Can you tell me what it is that you're living for?
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of #Faith Talk with me, Nath Addai. And yeah, I guess you could call this the final episode in the first season of Faith Talk. As you can imagine, I'm going to struggle to put out a few more episodes because of the whole lockdown situation that we're in. But, you know, I'm just grateful to have technology at least to still be able to put content out. So right now I'm recording live and direct from my house. So hence all the ambience and the poor sound quality. But you know what? I'm just happy to do this. And this is a podcast where we talk about the big stuff, you know, like what is the meaning of life? Why are we here? And that's probably what a lot of people are asking themselves right now during this virus is, you know, how are we going to get through this when all the daily things that you rely on seem to just crumble around you? You know, what do you have left? What keeps you going as a human being, you know? So we talk about the stuff that matters most, and this particular episode is the last part of my epically long conversation with Saint CJ. That's his stage name. His real name is Callum Jaye, and yeah, great guy. I recommend follow him on his socials. You're going to see links to that in the description for this episode. And yeah, it's been a hard time recently. A lot of stuff has happened. Recently, the pastor of my church, Derby City Church, Pastor David Ayling, he tragically passed away, which is sad. So you would have thought the coronavirus was hard enough, but then on top of that, life keeps throwing you obstacles. And you know, just from my perspective as a believer in Jesus Christ, there's always hope because of what Jesus did on the cross and how he rose again from the dead to give us life and to give us eternal salvation. And it's not just eternal salvation that we get, but even whilst we're here on earth, we can experience what the Bible calls a peace beyond understanding. So that's what's keeping me going. It'll be nice to hear what's keeping you guys going at this season. So yeah, feel free to message me on my socials, which you can see either in the description for this episode or in the general description for the podcast, wherever you're listening. But before I get into the final part of my interview with CJ, I've got a new tune to play for you, a tune that's produced and written and recorded by me, and it's currently untitled as of the time I'm recording this, but it is kind of inspired by the recent events and kind of questioning, you know, how do you navigate life when life keeps throwing you obstacles mercilessly? So that's what the song's about, and then we're going to get straight into the interview where I talk with CJ further about his music journey, the people he's met in his music, and kind of navigating suffering as a believer. Enjoy.
Right now, everybody wants to talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out that will give us life. I'm surrounded by strife. Right now, I got so much pain as I write. I ain't processed it yet. It's through my art I express it. I can't suppress it. Just got an email saying that my pastor was taken up to heaven. It doesn't feel real, man. It sounds too depressing. Just a few weeks ago, my grandma was also taken. I'm so shaken. 2020's messing up my vision of goals. Worldwide things are taking their toll. Corona guidelines given. We just do what we're told. It is times like these that it's hard to be bold. God, what you trying to tell me? What you trying to tell me? There's so many lies that the devil's trying to sell me. God, I thought that you're supposed to help me. In times like these, what will give you a sense of purpose? We don't have forever, only have the present. Faith is not a luxury, man, it's a weapon. It's Armageddon. You wanna know what's spreading more than this virus? It's the spirit of fear, man, it's such a tyrant. No food, no wage, locked away for days. It can have you in a daze, this life of heartbreak.
Don't know how much more I can take. Lord, please give me a break. Don't know what else I could pray. Tell me what you're trying to say. Don't know how much more I can take. Lord, please give me a break. Don't know what else I could pray. Tell me what you're trying to say.
Desperate times we're living in. Guess Desperate times we're living in. So the question I wanna ask myself, as well as everyone listening, is what do you live for? What do you live for? What do you live for? What do you breathe for? What will be the thing that will have you feeling rich, even though you have no money left to fund your family, even though all you see around you is tragedy? What will be the thing that gives you joy? What will be the thing that gives you joy? What is the what is the purpose? What is the meaning of life? What is the meaning of life that will keep you hopeful? That will keep you hopeful, even though you are trapped between four walls, not knowing what to do with yourself because the outer world is locked off, and all you have is your inner mind. All you have are your inner thoughts. All you have is you, the person staring in the mirror, the person that you don't want to speak to.
Don't know how much more I can take. Lord, please give me a break. Don't know what else I could pray. Tell me what you're trying to say. Don't know how much more I can take. Lord, please give me a break. Don't know what else I could pray. Tell me what you're trying to say.
You know, even as believers, like God never promised you, you know, life, wealth, and happiness. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these motivational speakers promise to you, like, you know, like all these motivational preachers are like, yeah, God wants you to be a millionaire, and God wants to bless you, God wants to give you good wealth. Like God doesn't promise that. He promises you eternal life. But he said you will face many tribulations on the earth. You will face many trials. You will face many suffering on the earth. And I think an immature or a babe in the faith will think that God will take away all my problems and I'll be blessed. And that's then I know God is for me. And they'll think if bad things are going on in my life, then God's not with me. But that's not true. Biblically, men suffered with a lot of things. Even Jesus, when he was being beaten, slapped, spat on, stabbed, whipped, God was with him through it all. He never left him.
Wow.
God was actually smiling. The Bible said it pleased him to see his son bruised. It pleased God to see Jesus face affliction. So it's actually that sometimes when we're going through bad things and it pleases God, because it's part of his almighty God-given will and will give glory to himself. If I had never gone through the hard things I've gone through, my ministry would not have the impact it has right now. And my spiritual life will not have the maturity it has now. If I'd always thought that it's about, which is why I'm not really with the whole motivational kind of gospel. I'm with the gospel that speaks truth, that, you know what, you're going to go through hard times, but God is with you. You're going to go through hard times, but God has never left you. God still loves you. God still has a plan for you. It's about getting wealth and being successful. Like, that's not what God promises you.
Yeah.
God promises you that that's what you can have, but that's not God's promise. God's promise is eternal life. God's promise is eternal joy, eternal peace. He doesn't promise material blessing. He doesn't promise marriage. He doesn't promise children. He promises your eternal life and salvation. And everything else you get is an additional blessing. The Bible says, seek first the kingdom, and all these things will be added unto you. So the reality is that if your mindset is the kingdom and all you care about is God, all that really matters is me knowing you and being right with you and having you. Everything else I get is just an additional blessing. It's just an additional thing. But that's not what matters. What matters is you.
Yeah. That's so good. Bro, this interview is great. I've got one more thing to talk about. So it's just now catching up with sort of the recent stuff you've been doing. Obviously, you've released some singles on Spotify and stuff like that, which I recommend the listeners to go and stream. You saw me comment on one of your posts that I can't get Drippin out of my head. That's such a good song.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for your support as well. Like, you've been a real blessing, Nathan, man. Like, you've been commenting and supporting, and again, just reaching out to me to do this. I feel very privileged. So thank you again, brother.
No problem. So let's talk about SO. I'm a huge fan of SO.
Yeah.
I like his recent album. Shout out to SO if he ever listens to this.
SO, man.
Yeah,
Definitely.
so I started seeing on your timeline, like, what? This kid's touring with SO? How is that possible? So you just kind of want to get into that story, just from the beginning, how you met him and, you know, what you've learned through the whole thing.
Yeah, so that's really the grace of God, all these administration opportunities I got. So I remember, obviously, this process, if I go through the whole process of, you know, me getting to obviously SO, because there's a backstory. It wasn't just that, oh yeah, one day, reached out to SO and boom, whatever. So from 17, I started music. I was doing music in my room from 17. I did music for about a year from my room, and nothing was really happening. I was just doing it in my church, just, faithfully in praise and worship team and doing concerts in my church. And in my church, we do a lot of evangelism through music. So we go to like different other community churches, within our fellowship, and we go around and we minister in different places. So I was always kind of doing this whole music thing through just blessing my church, building the church, and trying to win souls, because it was all about putting on local concerts, doing altar calls, and then believing God to win people and win souls. So we went up and down the country doing that, kind of like mini touring, but it wasn't as an artist, kind of like a congregational member. But I remember when I was 18, that's when I really, really got in contact with a Step Forward. And that's when I really got in contact with all these different people within the gospel scene. And I remember God saying, I said to God, if this is your will, evidently show me, like, if the music thing is your will, because people have told me I'm talented. I've done a couple of shows at different churches, but I'm still very new to this thing. I don't know if it's your will. Like, if it's really your will, for me, this gospel music ministry and evangelism, like, you have to show me evidently. And I remember getting words about evangelism, about being, ministering around the world and having a global vision and winning and lost. I remember getting constant words about that, constant words about being an evangelist or evangelism. But I didn't know what it meant in terms of what context of evangelism. But then when the music came, I realized it was in the context of my music and traveling, letting that music be an investment, just to open doors for me to witness and preach the gospel. So obviously 18 comes now, and I get very, very blessed to get connected with a Step Forward. And through that, I meet Todd Delaney. And when I met Todd Delaney, that opened a lot of doors to meeting a lot of other people. And then I started being known, meeting all these amazing, great people. I got to meet Kim Burrell, Take Six. I got to connect with Bizzle. I got to connect with Still Shady, Governor B, and then Triple O. Now, when I met Triple O, that's how I kind of got to know about SO, because I used to listen to SO's music growing up. So even opening for him was like one of the biggest privileges of my ministry and life as a Christian so far. Because I used to listen to SO constant. I used to be listening to him at church. One of my best friends was like his biggest fan. So I used to always know about SO. And then Triple O told me like, yeah, SO's my friend, And I realized that SO had performed a couple of times at my church, with Governor B and stuff, and at other churches. So I knew of him, but I never really saw him before proper. I just knew of him and knew of his music. Like, I loved his songs like Only Christ Can Truly Satisfy and Wait on the Lord. Like, I knew these songs. These songs are on my playlist a lot. So then, obviously, connected to Triple O kind of opened more doors. And obviously, knew Triple O, and then knew that Triple O, that was his friend. It just connected me to just knowing SO, and then SO started following me around that same time, and just was saying that I really look up to you, bro. You're really a big blessing. And we just through then, he followed me, started watching my timelines, and then through this year again, I was able to get in contact with Andy Mineo and Jay Vessel, and I got to connect with Hillsong United, and when I went to Big Church Day Out, Ty Tribbett and Torin Wells and all these people that.
Bro, this is like every Christian artist.
Yeah, so like
the Christian artist universe.
Basically, and no, not basically, but and then God started again. So then when I met Still Shady, these doors just began to continue to open, where I connected to, Becca, and I connected to Melvillous, and I connected to
Shout
Happy.
out Melvillous, my guy.
Yeah, big up Melvillous, and then the Truth. And then when I met the Truth, that was a whole other thing. That was on my 19th birthday. So then for this whole year, I'm just ministering and going around ministering with different people. I opened up for Self Pinnock, opened up for Saucy Johnson with Still Shady. I opened up, ministered with Becca Folks. I'm part of her administration team, Becca Folks' administration team. So I BV for her. So that these girls just became my friends, and they became my community. And it was just so funny, because I just thought to myself, like, God just kept reaffirming to me that everyone I was listening to, I began to connect with, and I began to meet, and began to, they began to be my friends and my community. Even Donnie McClurkin, I got to meet last year.
Wow.
And
what was the conversation with Donnie McClurkin like? Just because I listened to Donnie McClurkin growing up quite a lot. My mum would play the CD all the time. So yeah, what was that like?
McClurkin, he's cool, man. Like, obviously, I didn't get to really, really, really properly speak to him, but I got to speak to his daughter, and I got to speak to his manager and connect with them and basically work alongside them in the welcome team. But from what we were at his dress rehearsal, and he spoke to all of us at the dress rehearsal, like everybody that was around, and he basically was just saying, like, I just want to encourage everybody to know that, just to don't pursue the platforms pursue the person of God. I remember him saying that prevalently to me, just basically like pursuing Jesus opens the doors that you need to open to. That was in basically the day before when he was doing like all the technical rehearsals and stuff. But he just honored us and said, thank you for blessing us. Thank you for following my vision. And like, we're going to be in contact again. I was very privileged because the person that got me to connect with him and to work for his team on that, for his show in England, was like a really close friend of his, and like it was kind of like his spiritual daughter. So yeah, like his actual real daughter was such a blessing. She really showed me so much love and support and said like, you know, Donnie really is appreciative of you. And he said, so he had some sort of good things to say. And Donnie's just such a humble guy, man. So as I say, like, he's just what I got from, you know, the talks he gave us when we'd be in the dress runs or when he would speak to everybody. Because he'd do like these little conversations with everybody in the dress runs. So I didn't get to have like a personal, like up close one-to-one conversation, but it was kind of like, you know, when you're at a uni lecture and your lecturer talks to you and then he talks to everybody and then he comes up to different people in different groups. It's kind of like that.
Oh, okay.
Because he was very busy over the whole 2 days. So I couldn't really properly like get a one-to-one conversation, which was unfortunate. But I got already enough nuggets from him just speaking to us like in that lecturing kind of scene. And so he was just saying to us like, thank you to the welcome team. Thank you for all of you being here and supporting us. And, you know, just your service is the way to everywhere. Service is the way to elevation. So I just learned from Donnie like his heart for serving, his heart for souls. The altar calls he did was so powerful. And just the privilege to even be around him and be close to him and even to connect with him was such a privilege, because he's someone I really looked up to growing up. But to just, you know, be in the presence of him a lot and be in his inner circle and his inner community was so amazing. It was like, even when I was very blessed to meet the PIA guys as well, and, you know, I got to speak to them and they gave me like Preston, you know, spoke to me one-on-one, and he was speaking to me about evangelism, and he said he recommended me some books. Preston Hill Perry recommended me some books.
Oh my days.
Yeah.
You met everyone, bro.
Yeah, so he recommended me some books, and even Joseph Solomon. Like,
shout out the native guys, Native Supply.
Chase God TV, and it's crazy because I watched his videos for years and got discipled by his videos. So his videos really made me like grow my faith. When I spoke to him and I sat down with him, so I got to sit down with all the PIA guys, which is a blessing. And like now me and like, you know, Ezekiel, he like, we talk regularly on Instagram. Even Genetics, she's like my auntie. She even said, if you want to stay, you know, like very privileged, but she said if you ever need somewhere to stay in America, you can come stay with us, all us PIA guys in America, and you can chill with us and fellowship with us. We can give you a spare room to stay in. So they were all saying to me, just encouraging me to keep pressing on in my gifting. And what Joseph said to me was, God will really use you if you're willing to be used. Like, he has this phrase saying faith over feelings.
Yes.
And it inspired the song that I made on my
I listened to Faith Over Feelings. Who does it feature again?
Dan's.
Shout out to Dan's. Yeah.
He's a close brother of mine. Shout out to Dan's, man. That's my big brother, man.
Yeah.
Big blessing in my life. He discipled me in a lot of Christian faith, so I love that guy. But yeah, so that inspired that whole song. I remember saying, like, always put your faith over your feelings, bro. And, you know, God can use it the same way. And he inspired me to start YouTube even as well, and like to get YouTube again. So yeah,
okay, I need to check out your YouTube. I didn't know you were on YouTube.
I started doing a lot more videos now. It's about different. Started posting again. I used to do it proper when I was 18.
Yeah. I
started again now. But just meeting Donnie and connecting with him was a blessing. RCA Inspirations is mad because they're the same guys that work with Kurt Franklin and work with Fawn. So I got to meet the manager of RCA Inspirations, and she of like great advice about, you know, just her life and music, and it was it's humbling really.
And all these meetings, were they within Britain or did you travel abroad sometimes?
They're all in my doorstep.
Wow.
So even Todd Delaney, it was so funny. Like I went to Wood Green, and literally I was, you know, funny enough, I met Todd Delaney down my road. So ABN Radio, which used to be in West Norwood, I live literally like 5 minutes away from ABN Radio.
So basically, God has brought all these people to your doorstep.
Basically, yeah, he brought all the people I looked up to, and he brought them to me. I didn't actually go to them. So even with that, I went to the interview room, met Todd Delaney. I got to chill with him. He gave me some mad sick advice. I got to do an interview with him. Like that was dope. And then even like literally to my doorstep, even with the whole thing of like, called out music. Like I got to meet him.
Yeah. Shout out, like, Called Out Music, great music, man.
People, and they became family to me. So obviously, going to the question, how did I meet SL? So obviously, all these meetings had happened now, and SL was following me on Instagram. And I had recently, at this time, I had a producer now. My producer became Joe Soldier. I don't know if you know Joe Soldier. He supports me a lot of my music and stuff. He did Thank God It's Sunday. Yeah, you guys check it out. Thank God It's Sunday on Spotify. He's a really dope producer, but he's very close. I'm connected to Still Shady too. So we went on tour with Shady together. Like he was doing the production for Shady and I was doing like the BVs for Shady.
Wow.
And I remember he became my producer through the Spirit of God, because God basically said to him, God told me to be your producer. And I said, oh, God told
yo, that's mad. Imagine you're trying to make it big in the music industry. God told me to. Yeah, I would have been gassed.
That's nice, but it's so funny because I said, I felt God called me to be. God told me that you're my producer too. So we became through that, and we became very close brothers, like spiritually. Like that's my guy. I call him Jay, brother in arms, because I feel like our friendship is like a David and Jonathan thing. Because I feel like he said that I feel like I'm called to be your armor bearer. And I'm supposed to give you the armor so that you can go out there and deal and vanquish the enemy's kingdom. So I've got your armor and I put it on and I slay basically the devil's kingdom. So I was like, wow, yeah, that I definitely can see that our relationship's like that. And I equip him spiritually to continue to press on in the secret place. So we've all helped each other and equipped each other. Now imagine this. I've never paid this is the favor of God. I've never paid a dime for studio time ever.
Wow.
Wow. Like never. So Faith Over Feelings was produced by Josiah for free. He used to also pick me up from my house in his car, so I used to never pay for anything. And then Faith Over Feelings was produced by Josiah, and so was Grateful, and so was Growing Pains. So all the 3 singles I had was all produced by Josiah. Now another privilege I got to have was that another friend of mine in the scene that you guys probably know very well is Oscar.
Yeah. He did that song Helicopter, innit?
Yeah, so Oscar is my very close friend from church. He actually goes to my church.
Wow.
So we're very close.
See, this is what I'm loving, right? This is what sets us apart as Christians. We know about community,
Yes.
What I don't see a lot amongst mainstream artists is you have this face value sort of friendship that you see, but you don't really, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not, when it comes to Christian artists and not just Christian hip hop, but also the people in the gospel scene, people who are also in kind of more in the mainstream space. When I see Christians in creative spaces, there's a certain community that holds them together. And I think that's so inspiring. And I think that's what more people need to pay attention to, is that it's because a lot of people kind of gloss over when you share Christian music with them. They're like, oh, they kind of take it lightly, and they're like, oh, they might listen to the beat for like 10 seconds and be like, oh, no, this is. But when they actually take the time to look at how these Christian artists live their lives and how they move and how they perform and how they function on a day-to-day basis, I think they'll really appreciate that this thing that we have as Christian creatives is we know how to unite together and our egos don't get in the way. So like you said, you've benefited from having friendships with people who are in very prominent positions, but they've still been very accessible, very easy to talk to. And it's kind of like we could start an artistic revolution as Christians, we're not going to play this fame game of you have to have a certain amount of followers to be able to talk to me or get advice from me or have this exposure, because we learn to see people for the people that God made them to be, rather than what society says about them or what fame says about them. We learn to see people for who they are. And I think to all Christian creative people listening to this, learn that this thing you have as a Christian, that sets you apart. So
Amen.
every time you pay for someone to use your studio, or you give someone a ride, or you give someone that beat for free, don't feel guilty about that. That's you're letting your light shine as a Christian.
Yes.
And
yes.
in the time being, it might not feel like you're making the wisest career decision by putting other people first, but just listening to what Callum has said about his story, just remember that when you're faithful to God and put others first, God will bring stuff to your doorstep. He'll start doing things for you. You know,
Amen.
God will when you stay within God's will, He will provide for that. He always provides for a person who stays within His will.
Definitely, man. Definitely. And even yeah, everything you said is just so true. Like, and it is just favor. It is just favor. So fast forwarding to what you said, even about the question about SO. So like, obviously, just to round it up, as you said, as you're rounding up. So obviously connected with Josiah, got to start the music, and then God blessed me to get signed to Imprint Records, which brings us to now. Which was such a privilege and such a God move, because I never saw God do what He's going to do with this music, getting signed and actually being able to live off what I'm doing now. Like, I'm booked out from March till June. I've got ministerial bookings. Wow. And that doesn't happen to guys that haven't really done, like, I've done 4 singles, but I've only done 1 major single under a label.
Yeah, you haven't even released that much music and already you're making moves. Which is another thing, right? It's this culture that we live in, where it's this burnout culture. If you wanna get nowadays, if you wanna get clout, you hear people giving advice on social media like, write 10 songs every day, keep releasing music all the time, and you know, it becomes this burnout thing, and you start losing it. That way, you might start losing track of what your main purpose is. But it sounds like God's strategically placed you.
Yeah, man, it's His favor, and the way God's dimension works, and the way his whole world works is not based on what we do. It's all undeserved. It's all like, you don't have to really do anything, and God will make it happen. Obviously, we have to put in work. We have to work hard, and I definitely say that God has given me the grace to work hard. But really, where I'm at with what I've done is really God's grace, because again, there's only 1 major single under a label, and to be able to minister from now till June is truly God's grace. And what He's done with all the meetings that I've had, and even again going to the question of SO, that truly was God, because literally, if I tell you how it happened, it was the whole journey was obviously this music journey, but this is literally how it happened. So my label I got signed to, I spoke to my label. I said, you know what, I really want to do SO. I saw him coming to the UK. They said, why don't you just drop him a DM? I said, okay, do you think he'll respond to that? I said, yeah, just drop him a DM, see what happens. Dropped him a DM. He said, yeah, bro. I said, yeah, I'm a 19-year-old gospel artist. Named St. CJ. I'm signed under Imprint Records. I just wanted to know, you got any supporting acts available? And he said, can I say my music and see what you think? So I sent it. He said to me, he got back to me in 1 minute after I'd messaged him and said, yeah, send me your stuff, bro. Let's see what happens. So my label got a portfolio all together for me, did that for free, just of everything I compiled together, got all my music together and sent it to SO. And then, he literally, I think at first, he actually said there wasn't space available. He says, I didn't have, not this time, bro. And he gave me a FaceTime call 10 minutes, and he just said, bro, like, I really appreciate you going out there and taking initiative, and just pray God continues to bless you. And if you ever want to connect on like a brotherly level, let's connect, man. So I gained the brother in SO before anything else happened. So now I was like, okay, cool, maybe it's not God's will. I moved on, and then I said, God, if it's your will, like, let it happen. If it's not, it's cool. And then a week later, he messaged me and said, you know what, bro, spaces will become available, and I'll give you a set. And then that's how I got the set. So I literally just sowed the seed, believed in God, tried, and then God did the rest. And from then, all it's been is just the grace of God opening doors from then, really, man. But really, that's the first time I don't often message people or take initiative kind of in that way. Like, I literally told my mom the other day, people just DM me. And that's really why God does it all the time. It's like people just DM me randomly on Instagram, like, oh, listen, we got the show. Do you want to do it? And yeah. And they said, oh, how much do you want? And I just feel like, what? How much do I want? And they just bless, and then they just bless me. And it's just a very, very big, it's just a favor of God. No, I never pay for a studio time. Never, only a couple of tracks released to then be signed to a label with a production team, with a video team, with a digital team, and open doors all over. So I'm really grateful. It's only by the grace and favor of God, man. That's really what I can say.
That's amazing.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, I think we're gonna stop there. Bro, you've definitely broken the record for the longest interview I've had. Do you want to guess about how long our talk's been?
This must have been, let me see. How much is this? An hour and 45. So this must have been about 2:10.
Yeah, well, yeah, almost like 2 hours and about 20 minutes or so. So that's
boy.
But that's, I mean, again, God gets all the credit for that, because in well, I say your short life, but yeah, in the short time that you've been alive, basically, God has done so much. He's revealed so many things to you.
So much,
He's taken you on a roller coaster, and I just want to thank you for just sharing your insight. And I think this interview is gonna reach a lot of people. It's gonna impact a lot of people. And thank you so much for not just what you're doing for this podcast, but the things that you've said, how it's helping me as well. And it's so reassuring to me, because I've been involved in different creative things, and I've kind of put some odd stuff on SoundCloud here and there. But there's, similar to you, it's like, God, what's your plan for this? And it kind of feels like maybe I'm wasting my time, maybe I'm too preoccupied with this, maybe it's not going to work the way I want it to. But your story just proves that anything is possible. And even when it seems like you don't have a lot of content out, or your journey in a certain creative craft has been brief or it's been rocky, God can still take that and do something amazing with it. So you've given me hope that there's more in store for me. I just need to keep being faithful to Him, developing my craft, and then God, just trust God's timing, which is a recurring theme that's come through the recent interviews I've been doing. It's just, especially as a creative person who's a Christian, trusting God's timing. So thank you so much.
Glory, all glory to God, man.
Yeah, we're gonna keep in touch, and
yes,
I wish you all the best.
Bro, thank you so much. Like, just keep doing what you're doing, man. This podcast is amazing. I feel I'll keep saying it, very privileged. I've not really done much, but God has been able to use me, and I'm grateful to be a vessel for Him. So yeah, man, thank you for supporting the music. Thank you for supporting the vision. And it's always a privilege and an honor when people really support your vision. On a journey, not everyone has. What I'm saying? Not everyone always sees this. Sometimes people don't see it as fruitful. They don't see it as something that is really tangible. You just think it's like,
Sorry, that was my phone. Sorry.
We thank God that He's using me beyond myself. So this is awesome. But thank you. I appreciate
social media details. Just shout out your details quick.
Yes, so you can catch me on Instagram at SaintCJ_. That's SAINT CJ_, SAINT CJ_. You can also catch me on YouTube at Saint CJ also, and on Spotify at Saint CJ. And yeah, man, if anyone has any youth concerts, gospel events, church events that they want me to minister at, you can always hit me up on Instagram. Or you can hit up my label, and the address is lola@imprintrecords.co.uk, and that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Everyone go stream his music, especially Drippin. That's your latest single at the moment, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Everyone go stream that, go support CJ and the work he's doing. And yeah, we're out. Thank you so much for your time, man.
Blessings.
Okay. Adios.
It's your boy, CJ. Covered by the blood, na 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 na. Covered by the blood, now I'm dripping. I broke up first, now I'm winning. Jesus set me free, I'm forgiven. I was a dead man, now I'm living. Covered by the blood, now I'm dripping. I broke up first, now I'm winning. Jesus set me free, I'm forgiven. I was a dead man, now I'm living. They in love with the cocoa. They be moving on loco. Married to his will, like Frodo. What's your cross in my entire life, bro? I need his presence every day. Can't move so low. Getting spiritual gains in the dojo. Demons wanna battle, war zone. Demons wanna battle, take it to the war zone. I need all your grace and your mercy, Lord. You took all my place and I thank you, Lord. Jesus Christ the King on the throne. Jesus Christ the King, he the cornerstone. You know Christ alone, the cornerstone. You need him in your life, whatever you're living for, can't satisfy. Now I'm dripping, broke up first, now I'm winning. Jesus set me free, I'm forgiven. I was a dead man, now I'm living. Covered by the blood, now I'm dripping. Broke up first, now I'm winning. Jesus set me free.
And that is it. End of episode. Thanks for listening. The tune you just heard is called Drippin by Saint CJ featuring I think it's Samson. But yeah, great tune, and you can hear the rest of it on all streaming platforms. And he's currently got a song called Lockdown, which is based on the lockdown that we're in at the moment. But yeah, that's just a fun little freestyle he did on SoundCloud. So you can follow him on SoundCloud as well. Same name, Saint CJ. Yeah, and from what I've heard, he's got more new music coming very soon, maybe in a matter of days, as of the time I'm recording this. Follow him on his socials to stay up to date. And yeah, at this time it's hard, but obviously stay safe, be hygienic, wash your hands, clean surfaces and stuff like that, all that good stuff to stay healthy at this time, because as we've seen in the news recently, anyone can get it, even royals can get it, even MPs can get it. So, you know, be very cautious. But on top of that, ask yourself the big questions. That's something I keep talking about in this podcast. Ask yourself the bigger questions. Why am I here? What is my purpose? What is there more to my life than the physical things around me? Is there a spiritual reality as well? And do I need to engage it? Do I need to, you know, live in a certain way to make sure that I am being the most fulfilled that I can be as a human being, you know? And I think that's a big question all of us can ask ourselves, especially at this time. So yeah, guys, everyone, thank you for listening. If you've been listening to all the episodes up until now, thank you so much for the support. And if you haven't heard the other episodes I've done in this first season of #Faith Talk, please go and stream them whilst you're quarantined at home. And I don't know when I'll be able to do another episode, but I know that I'll be fine. I know that God's got me, and so whatever happens, everyone keep safe, and I'll see you on the other side of this virus, whenever that is. But until then, that's season 1 of #Faith Talk over. I'm out. Psych. I've got one more thing I want to play before I leave you, and this is a premiere of a brand new track that I'm working on. I currently have it in mind for this to be the first ever official single that I release on all music platforms, and it is produced by my friend Neon Blue. That's his producer name. And yeah, this song is called Say It As It Is. So this is a worldwide premiere, I guess. And it's follow me on my socials to keep up to date on when this single is coming out. I'd like to know your thoughts on it as well. It's called Say It As It Is, and I'm going to leave you with this tune. Hope you enjoy.
Yeah. Shout out Luke for this one. You're a G, man. Feel that soul?
When I'm down and out and I can't find my way.
Hear that? That's the sound of redemption, bro.
There's a voice
Ghetto redemption.
I hear. It sounds so sweet.
Sounds so sweet, don't you agree?
It sounds so sweet. Nath Addai in the building, yeah. Let me say it as it is. Let me say it as it is. I owe Jesus everything. Woo. I'ma say it as it is. Don't you know that love's a gift? I'ma say it as it is. I'ma say it as it is. Yeah, don't you know it sounds so sweet? Yeah.
Got the rings feeling like a team, yeah, you know what I mean. You got dreams, but they don't mean a thing without Elohim. Self-esteem got you feeling prestige, trying to build your team, trying to gleam, but you're lost in sin. Time to get redeemed. Too many voices that in my head telling me I'ma be ignored when I spit. Too many enemies in the world trying to be pulling you down 'cause you won't quit. But God is my remedy, presidential like I'm Kennedy. All of my friends get a split. He gets a bit, she gets a bit. Sharing the info is what makes you rich. Psycho, that's what they call me when they see me pray with my eyes closed. People are lonely, that's why they get themselves in cycles. Talk about Jesus, they say you're old school like Spyro, but I'm still fly though.
But you hating, I know what I'm doing here. You have no purpose here. I think you should fight your fears and be the one that you were born to be. I don't know what you want from me. I know my purpose. Stop acting like a servant. I am God's servant. But you say that I'm sounding corny.
I'll just leave it like that, man.
Let me say it as it is. Let me say it as it is. I owe Jesus everything. I'ma say it as it is. Don't you know that love's a gift? I'ma say it as it is. I'ma say it as it is. Yeah, don't you know it sounds so sweet?
Yeah, it sounds so sweet. Wouldn't you agree? A God who loves you and me, using all our deficiencies to showcase his love, except his love ain't always clear to me. Especially when icons like Kobe are taken drastically, and my grandma died tragically, and Brexit's a catastrophe. And Africa's depravity of justice is getting harder and harder to relieve. Yeah, it's harder to believe we were made for greatness when everything round us is ugly. But something keeps telling me there's so much more. Man, as I write this, the pain of lacking zeal is so sore. When there's good intentions in your heart to bring people to the Lord, but you stray from him yourself, you've also got an inner war. Consuming the sex, gossip and trending topics. Tell me, will I ever top the standard of what's seen a standard? What's that?
Live your life, don't have faith, create what everyone creates. No, I can't. I'ma just say it as it is. Sometimes I don't feel like God is giving me a gift. Tell me what I have to give. Screaming out that I'm your kid, but my addiction is worsening and I can't even think. Trying to let my ideas flow just to bring the man them hope. But am I too shallow? I don't know, but I can't quit. Forget the perfect cadence, man, forget these bars of wit. I just want to stay open to you, God, 'cause you gave me life to live, so I've got these bars to spit and I'ma say it as it is.